Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is carrying on in my auction series. I went and bought 3 power saws at auction. I didn't go and look at them. I didn't physically inspect them. I looked at the pictures and set my bids at a level that I was comfortable with. This is getting back to my roots. Not everybody can afford a brand new chainsaw or justify one, but maybe you need a good power saw, you know, for a couple times a year when you go and cut firewood or maintaining your property. Today's video is the 3rd saw in the series. The first 2 are a Dolmar Makita 5121. I believe that's the model. It's a 50cc Makita. That one ran like a Swiss watch. The second one was a Steel 026. Again, that was a runner with a little bit of a repair to the fuel line. Today's video, let's look at this classic 268 XP Husqvarna and see if we can get it running. Stay tuned, I'm excited.
She cuts, eh?
Okay, so around these parts, these used to be really common, 268s, 266s, the Johnson Red versions of these, your 630 Super 1 and 2. These are near and dear to my heart. They're great power saws, and they can be very reliable with some maintenance. Now, this saw here, I don't know what the deal is with it, but it's definitely going to need some maintenance and some work. This was the questionable one out of the 3 because I wasn't sure what this saw was going to need. Anyhow, I'm going to bring you guys in and let's just start going over this saw and see if we can get it running. Here's the power saw in question. Now, I've already done one thing to it, and that is I bent this chain brake up. I find the best way to straighten these, often these are bent down. Leave this on tight and just pull gently, and usually you can, this is a hollow tube. You don't really want to put that in a vise or anything like that because you'll end up collapsing it. Ask me how I know. Okay, so this is what we ended up with. 268 XP, just a good old-fashioned pro saw. These used to be super common, and I love these things. I really do. My first Husqvarna was a 1983 266 XP, and I love that thing. I still have that thing to this day and still run it. Just a great saw. Okay, first thing I'm going to do, let's take the chain brake off. This chain, it's pretty smashed, but it looks like whoever filed it knew what they were doing. Okay, first things first, I want to show you guys what I know about these. Okay, right here, these chain brakes often are broken. The new style chain brakes do not, the new style brake bands do not fit in here. Okay, the brake band that I use, because you can't get these anymore, that I use to retrofit these is, I've used a 55 Rancher, believe it or not, and it actually worked. So, yeah, if you need a brake band for one of these, you're not getting one. Woo! That sun just went behind a cloud and it's a little chilly out here. Okay. I'm gonna bring you guys right in so you can see this thing. This model of saw has a lot of seals and gaskets in it. Often you can buy these not running, but they will need some work. These springs here are known to stretch. You'll end up with a chain that runs at idle. These are difficult to get. You can find them. There used to be aftermarket ones available, but again, these things are old, but you can still get pretty much all the parts for them. So Don't be super concerned. Top ends are readily available. You need a top end for one of these. I don't think, somebody may correct me, I don't think you can get OEM top ends for these anymore. They're so old. This saw is like 31 years old right now. Okay, so notice there's a fin broken off the top of the cylinder. Super common on these. Doesn't affect. I have ported saws like this with this same cylinder that are ported very warm, and they're fine. They don't seem to have any problems with getting heat soaked or anything like that. So okay, first things first with these, this has the same air box as the 272. This is kind of a saw that bridged the gap between the 272 and the 266. This is pretty much a 266. There are some differences, transfers, and some of these have a bigger carburetor, different air box. Okay, if you check this out, there's your air filter. I like this setup. They sound cool too. They have a good amount of induction roar. I've always found they pull air from this right here. Okay, and this is the same top cover as a 272. Often these are melted here. That's the only blemish on this saw that kind of bothers me, is this top cover is really melted. It is what it is, right? What did I pay for this saw? I think I paid $100. So I used to buy these for 20, inflation. Okay, this saw is a 1989. The earliest 268 that I've had, I think, was in 86 or 87. 87, I believe. The same wire chain brake. Okay. I'm not sure when they switched to these. I should ask Donnie Walker. He would know. Or know approximately, because he was working on these then, probably. First thing I'm going to do, have a look at the spark plug. Now, this saw, I smell rancid fuel. And this saw also does not have a fuel line in it. I just noticed. Here's your spark plug. Looks fine. Okay. Put the spark plug back in. This saw has no fuel line in it, so already it's not going to run the way it is. Now, pull this thing over. All kinds of compression. These are pretty thumpy out of the box, so if your saw's not thumpy, it's either scored or ported. It's one or the other. Okay, let's see if this thing has spark. Just gonna hold this to the cylinder and pull it over. It may be difficult for me to see. I think I seen some spark there, friends. We're outside, so. Okay, next thing's next. Let's pull the muffler off. Try to keep you guys out of the shadow. I like working outside because of the natural light. Okay, you need an 8mm. 8mm for the front bracket here. It's common for these to be broken, misplaced. You could still buy these. Some of these have an outer bar plate. Sometimes you'll have an oiling issue on these. The outer bar plate will be missing, and what happens is all the oil fills up in here. Okay, so if you have an oiling issue and you pull this cover off and this is all full of oil, you actually need an outer bar plate. If you can't find one, you can make one out of a piece of sheet metal. Just drill some holes in it and just cover, basically just cover this area. Okay, I've done it. It works pretty good. Grab one of these. What size is this? A 5mm. Okay. Whew. This has been on here a day or two. Now, the missing fuel line may be a good thing. You know why? Because there might not be any fuel in the carburetor. Okay, this says a Tillotson HS carb. I'll have to tell you guys what model it is. I've done a lot of work with these saws. This is kind of my chassis. A a lot of the YouTubers that have been building saws for years, kind of have a chassis they're known for, something they got into. We all do it, right? You go down the rabbit hole and you end up with a bunch of saws of a certain chassis and you end up working on them. Well, this is my chassis. I've done, I don't know, I've probably done 100 videos or 80 videos on this chassis because I just had so many of them. Okay, so this one has some slight carbon scoring. I hope you guys can see there's a smear there. I'll pull it up, kind of hold it in a way that you guys can see. There, right there. You see that stripe right there? So this thing's had some carbon go in. There's some carbon on the sides of the exhaust port. You end up with that on some of these old saws. Now, would I run this saw like that? Yeah, it's not. The scoring doesn't go through the ring, and the ring doesn't look like it has a ton of time on it. Other thing you can do, pull it all the way up and just look. It's got some slight marks on it. This may be a good candidate to put a piston in it. I probably have a piston. If I don't, quickest way to get parts for these, go see my buddy Ryan at Wolf Creek Saw Shop. You guys know the deal. Ryan's been taking care of this channel and me and you guys for years. He's got all the carb kits and top end parts you could ever want for this saw. And yeah, he's just a good fella. He definitely makes this kind of content possible. And I like that guy. He's just a good guy. Okay, so far so good. I don't see anything that bothers me. I'm just gonna look for the carb number. This has a S234. So not the biggest carb they ever put on these. I think 254 is the biggest carb ever found on one of these. Okay, here's what I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to bolt this muffler back on. There is no gasket. Okay, there's no gasket for this muffler. I wouldn't run it like that, but for today's video, I just want to see if this thing runs. Now, I am going to cheat. I'm going to go get a fuel filter and see if this saw will run. I will say, if you're going to buy one of these, you should probably put crank seals in it. There is an O-ring. I may have to revisit this chassis because you guys know how much I like these. There is an O-ring that seals the oil pump. Those are usually toast. There's 2 crank seals in this saw. And there also is a seal on either side of the air intake, because these have an intake block. They don't have an intake boot. If those leak, you end up with all kinds of runnability issues, okay, in here. So just be aware. There are problems with these saws. I love this chassis, but they are not without their issues. Now, they're only issues if you don't know about them. I buy one of these, I put every gasket in it brand new, crank seals, I reseal the oil pump, and I can show you guys how to do that without buying any parts if you can't find that O-ring. Often I'll put Moto Seal. I will glue that pump in. It can be a little bit difficult to get out after, but it doesn't really bother me. Okay, friends, I'm gonna go see if I can find a fuel line, because again, I can smell rancid gas coming out of this, and there's no fuel line in here. Give me a second. Okay, I've been using these. These are Highway fuel filters. Highway, the good folks at Highway sent me a bunch of, just a care package. You know, friends, I don't work with Highway. I don't know anybody there, but I guess they've seen my videos around, and I guess they know I work with Ryan at Wolf Creek, right? He's my parts guy. Ryan's been my parts guy forever, years and years, and I like that guy. When I find somebody I like, a parts guy, I don't price shop. I don't do none of that. If somebody's good and they take good care of me, I just buy from them. But anyhow, Highway sent me a big bag of these, and I've been running them. They work good. These right here, so these are the fuel lines for this saw. They have a grommet. They are proprietary, which I'm not a huge fan of. I never used to be, but these are just generic ones you can buy online. I've never had a problem with one of these. These fit your 181, 281, 288, 61, 630 Johnson Red, 266, 268, 272. All those have the same fuel line. I buy them, I think you can buy them in like a big bag like this. It's like a 10 pack. And yeah, I don't even know where I got these from. I got to reorder though. I got 2 left. These also work on home lights. A lot of your home lights, this grommet will seal the tank. Some of your steels. These are great to have around. These fit a lot of different saws. Okay, let's take this fuel cap out. Ooh, yeah, that's gonna be a problem. This seal is scungy. Whew. Oh yeah. We got all kinds of good stuff in here. I don't know if you guys could see in there, but the fuel line is busted off. Just give me a second. I gotta get rid of this junk in here. Okay, dump the fuel out. Okay, there's a grommet here. You want to save that. That goes through the air box here. Now underneath, see if you guys can see that. Underneath there, there's a fuel line. You can just see it. Okay, right down in there. You want to get rid of that. I'm probably just, yeah, oh yeah, it just fell into the fuel tank. Now, when you let a saw sit for too long, this saw probably has an issue, or it just sat for too long. Maybe the guy got a new whiz-bang saw and yeah, so the fuel line broke. And if you look in here, this is gonna be hard to remove. These giant forceps are the greatest thing. There's your fuel line. Or fuel filter. I do not see the fuel line in here, so I don't know what happened to it. Okay, if you're changing fuel lines, set of these, I can literally fish this right up through here, grab it on the other side. Now, my one complaint with these is they're a little bit too long on this end. So I usually pull them through and then I cut it to length. Some saws need more length than others. First thing I'll do, take this, push it onto there. I like to do things on camera so you guys can see how long it takes me to do it. I'm not a professional. I've been saying it for years. I know a lot of you guys look up to me, which is nice, but I'm not a professional. I'm just some fella in his shop or in his driveway working on power saws like a lot of you guys are. And that's that. I started this channel because I like power saws a lot. Anybody that knows me knows that. Okay. Okay, now I'm just grabbing the other end. There we go. Here it is. You guys can see it's like taffy. And pull it through. Sometimes I have to take the tank off, depending on how tight the grommet is. I think we got it. Okay, I got the new line in there. Just pulled it through. You guys can see if I put this on the way it is, it's too long, it'll get pinched. Okay, right here. So this is where I just eyeball them and I cut them off. Just gonna take these little pliers here. I nip them off until they don't interfere with the top cover. This should be fine. Okay, just like that. Make sure it's not kinked. I might even make this a little bit shorter. Again, I've been using these same lines for years and they're always too long, except for on the 288 and 281. Okay, that should be good. So now we have a fuel line. Last thing I'm going to check before we start yarding on this thing is where are the jets at? I don't really expect this thing to start, but at least we'll kind of know where we're at. We can make this a project on the channel. Low jet is at half a turn, 1 1/2, 1 and a quarter on the high jet. So I'm going to go half, 1, and a quarter. That should start me off. I may even put my low jet a little bit more out, another quarter. It is cold out here. Okay, this gas cap's probably going to leak. You could put a new cap, the new, whatever you call them, the flippy caps. Yeah, this gas cap's horrible, so I'll have to grab a new one. Give me a second here. Since we're on the subject, I have a couple of these that I bought. Okay, it's the new style flippy cap. Look. I love that. I put these on most of my saws. I think Buckin was the one that showed me this when he was here the first time. One of his saws, I think his 266 had one of these, if I remember correctly. It's a gas cap for a 455, 450 Rancher, 460 Rancher, 120, 130, 135. Part number, I don't know if you guys can see this, 522-620001. Okay. I put these on pretty much all my vintage saws because I like these flippy caps. And the vintage saws when the caps leak. I mean, I am a collector, but I'm not, right? I like to run these old saws, and I hate caps that leak. They stink, right? Your shop ends up stinking. It leaks fuel all in the back of your truck. I mean, I'll deal with it if I have to, but... Okay, so... that's what I do. So we have a saw with a cracked fin. There's a little bit of carbon scoring. Fuel line is gone. You guys think this thing's gonna run? Well, let's find out. Okay, full choke. I'll be shocked if this thing runs, just because of the state of the fuel. Okay, ready? Ooh. Let's just make sure. Let's make sure that this. Yeah, this is good. Just making sure that this recoil's on. I'm still nursing a shoulder injury, friends. My left shoulder is pretty bad, and I got to be careful. That thing just fired. Well, it fired. Let's put it on fast idle. These fast idle, you pull the trigger, pull this lever, okay? Okay, let's give her a choke. Try her again. Interesting. See, I could smell the bad fuel in here. I bet you we're gonna have to pull that bad fuel out of this carburetor. Turn the choke off for a minute. What do you guys think? What would you guys do? It's funny that it fired so quickly. It shouldn't fire on that bad gas, but it shouldn't have had new fuel in it. Well, let's do what I always do. Grab my... I don't know if I got any in the carburetor there. A few little drops in there. Oh, she's got fuel in her now. Okay, no choke when you do that. Okay, I'm gonna give it a little squirt with the trigger while I'm pulling it over. Okay, I'm gonna grab a new spark plug. This thing may have an air leak, friends, just like I said. Okay, I put a brand new NGK spark plug in there. So what's going on here, friends, is probably the carburetor needs a carb kit. This thing just burnt off all that fuel I put in there, and I could probably yard on this thing for the next 5 minutes. The only thing I can think of is, tell you what I'll do. I'll give it, okay, half, 1.5. I'll give it too much low jet and see if we can at least keep it running. Pull a choke again. Okay, friends, so give it a little more high jet just because, but I think this thing's probably going to need a carb kit. We can do that on another video, no problem. Okay, well, that concludes today's video. You win some, you lose some. I knew this saw wasn't going to run, but I had to try. I could smell the bad gas coming out of it when I picked it up at the auction house. But all in all, I'm super happy with this saw because, like I said, I don't have a 268 in my personal collection, and I've always wanted to get another one. In a following video in the near future, I will do a video on actually getting this thing running. It probably just needs a carb kit, but again, the problem with these, when you pull the carb off, often you need gaskets for the intake. But we'll get into all that. Again, I love these saws, but they can be a little bit of a fickle creature to build. You build them right, they last forever. If you cut corners or don't have the right parts, they will be an absolute pain in the neck. Anyhow, friends, I hope you guys enjoyed the first part of the auction series. 2 for 3, I'll take that. Those other 2 saws run good, and this one will need a little bit of love. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Take her easy, and if you guys have any questions, comments, you guys know what to do. Have a good day. Later.